From the half-asleep mind of Matthew Vaughn comes Argylle, a new action spy comedy slash Apple commercial. The film stars Lady in the Water's own Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway, a woman who writes spy novels about super spy Argylle, played by Henry Cavill, who's in the movie for about the length of this sentence. Along for the ride is an all-star cast, each member playing parody versions of characters they already have and 1,000 times and other better stuff. Our heroes are forced to join forces to solve the greatest mystery of all time. How on earth did Matthew Vaughn convince anyone to give him $200 million? If this intro sounds tired and played out, that would make sense for this movie. What? Not intrigued enough to see it? What if I planted a fake news story about Taylor Swift in the media? Would that make you go? Sam.
Yes.
What did we just watch?
We watched Argylle.
Is that what it was?
That's what it says on the posters.
So, going into this, I'm not the biggest Matthew Vaughn fan. I haven't seen all of his movies.
I've seen The Kingsman, the Kingsman prequel.
Yep.
It's all right. I enjoyed it. It's funny.
Is that the only Kingsman?
That's the only Kingsman movie I've seen. I don't know what else he's made, but that's the only movie I know that he's made.
Yeah, I don't hate most of his stuff. I would say most of it for me is just like slightly above mediocre. Like, I feel like he makes movies that like other people have made better, if that makes any sense.
They're just memorable enough for people for them to still be relevant.
Yeah.
Like, if they were any less memorable, they'd be like completely forgotten about.
But, you know, this by all accounts, this movie should work, right? You got a great cast. You got a filmmaker who's at least competent, who has made like pretty good action stuff before.
Yeah.
You got a super high budget.
And it does not show up on screen.
It does not show up on screen.
All.
But like this movie, like nothing about this screams like a horrible problem. But then somehow when it's all put together,
it's
just
awful.
It's just not even, it's barely anything really.
This movie, more than any other movie, I've been the most tempted to walk out of. But
that's a little extreme.
Since we saw it like with our family, I couldn't just leave.
We took the whole fam
to
find out who
because
we
were like, oh, it seems like a fun like family spy thriller comedy. Like our mom would probably like it. She kind of likes those type of movies.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that, but it was mostly just really stupid.
My problem with it was that like the first hour and a half is really just kind of generic and bland.
Yeah, it's nothing special happens.
And then about halfway through, it just starts doing a bunch of very dumb, stupid twists.
And these twists are so bad.
And they go on forever.
Oh my god, they're so bad. And the way that they reveal them is cartoonishly stupid.
Yeah.
It's like a parody of itself. Which it is supposed to be kind of a parody of like
it's set up at the beginning
movies.
Of like that's what it's going to be, and then they really don't do that because that's kind of Kingsman is like that that kind of like pseudo parody element to it.
But it still takes itself mostly seriously.
But it's got like an intelligence to it, and I think what makes Kingsman work is that like the over the top violence.
Well, there's an internal logic to the movie. Like yes, it's very campy and it's very like. The characters make a lot of silly jokes and the fights are like choreographed sometimes in very funny and silly ways. But like the movie still takes itself seriously. The villains are still threatening. The heroes are still doing heroic things. Yeah. But in this movie, like it starts off pretty much normal and then the tone shifts so hard towards the middle and it just throws you off for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. So it's kind of odd because I wasn't dreading watching it for like about half. I was not enjoying it. I would say I was more just like, all right, I'm here. This is kind of what I expected.
Before we went to go see it, I was like, maybe you know what? Maybe it'll be all right. Because like with Knives Out was the same way. I thought Knives Out was going to be so dumb. We from the ads we were like, this movie has got to be so stupid.
We is just him. I didn't think this.
We did. We were
did
making
not.
fun of the trailers on the way there.
I was not doing that. I don't
Yes,
know what
you were.
I don't remember
And,
this.
Anyway, we saw the movie and we're like, oh, that was actually really good. Like, we all really enjoyed it and thought it was really actually an excellent movie. In this movie, I was like, all right, maybe the ads just did the movie super dirty.
Yeah.
The cat CGI looks awful in the ads, but maybe they picked some bad shots.
Looks bad in the whole movie.
No, the trailers made the movie look good.
Yeah, it's you touched on the cat. The whole thing has like really shaky like VFX, and I don't really know why. Like, it's got a high budget.
Yeah,
it's got a guy who's has experience with like VFX, high budget action filmmaking. Like, the guy directed an X-Men movie. Like, he should know what to do with the VFX.
And didn't he like personally do some of the VFX? In the credits, he was like listed as one of the guys who like did the VFX.
And it's not even just the cat. Like, the cat looks not great, but it's mostly in like the backpack. It only really looks bad when they like take it out and it's obvious they're holding nothing.
When the cat is just a head, it looks fine because you don't see the rest of the cat.
But like, what was really shocking to me is like the shabby green screening for most of it.
Why didn't they just have a real cat?
Well, for some stuff they probably did.
I don't think the cat was ever real in any scene. Because I can't think of it.
Well,
it never looked like it had mass ever. Even at the beginning when she like picks it up, like it like dangles in a way that like cats don't do. Like, anyone who's had a cat, you see this movie and you're like, cats don't look like that. Like, they don't do that.
Yeah, there was a lot of scenes where the CGI was like really noticeably poor, and it wasn't even it was like they didn't put any effort into it. Not that like they ran out of money. It just like looked like they
just didn't.
They started it. It got to like a serviceable level to them, and then they just gave up.
It looks like a made-for-TV movie. The whole movie does.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Like, everything looks low budget.
Which is weird because it cost an insane amount of money.
The costumes look very low budget in my opinion. The sets seem all very low budget. Like, the apartment is just like that all those fight scenes take place in sort of towards the middle of the movie. It's just an empty apartment. It's
visually so just like sauceless.
Yeah.
Like, all the production design, all the
costumes, very sterilized.
Everything just feels like as bland as they could possibly make it to just have, I guess, like just the maximum audience general appeal.
Yeah, I guess. There's like no dirt on. It's very Apple in the sense that like, there's
no
dirt on anything.
It's so Apple. Everyone's using Apple everything.
This actually is, to my knowledge, the first movie where the villains also use Apple products.
Yeah, because Apple making an Apple commercial.
Apple has a clause in most movies that Apple sponsors or has, like, that Apple products show up in.
Yeah,
they have a clause where the villains of the movie cannot use Apple products.
They have to scrub the Apple logos off all their phones.
Like, that's why in Knives Out, if you pay attention to who has an iPhone and who doesn't, it spoils the movie for you. So this is just
setting records, everybody.
Yeah, setting records. First movie where Apple says yes, villains can use iPhone.
But going back to like the like cartoonish nature of it, the whole movie, right, is half of it is like the real world.
Well, okay, but it didn't start cartoony. It starts normal, and then the cartoony stuff is like when she's imagining her book characters. But then, like, as the movie keeps going, the real world gets progressively less realistic as time goes on, and you're like, it gets to a point of absurdity where you just like the movie is, you cannot take it seriously anymore.
Because the movie should have like two levels to it, and it technically does, but they don't do them right. Yeah. So there's like in the movie they'll cut to her spy book with Henry Cavill and John Cena and like all those people.
Yeah, her characters.
And that stuff, that's the opening scene of the movie, is a sequence from her book, and it's like over the top. Major action, like cartoony, mustache twirling action.
It's the scene where all the trailers are from.
Like, that stuff should be that way.
Yeah.
Where, like, that is, like, the parody of, like,
because it's like her imagination. Like, it's supposed to be a little bit less tangible than reality.
Yeah, like, the parody and, like, the kind of self-referential stuff should be in the parts of it that are in, like, the book.
Yeah.
Within the movie. And then they cut to the real-world stuff, and not only does it look the same, but like the action and the humor is the same as the book.
Now again,
there's no contrast between them.
At the beginning of the movie, it wasn't like that. Like the fight scene in the train is all like I mean, it's choreographed because it's a movie, but it's like not nearly as ridiculous and over the top as the like later action scenes are.
And I think it's just because Matthew Vaughn can't help himself. Because like the book stuff should be the Matthew Vaughn action, right?
Yeah.
Over the top, wacky gadgets, flips and bullets and all that. And then the real world stuff should be like Jason Bourne.
Yeah,
it should be gritty and like hand to hand and like really brutal and like visceral. But like he can't stop himself from always having like the over the top action. Because by the time you get to the third act of this thing, any realism it had to begin with is out the window.
It becomes like a parody of a James Bond movie, but
which is what like the movie itself was trying to parody.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's just like it fully indulges. It can't help itself anymore.
Oh my, dude, they had the audacity to make a Chekhov's gun reference, while at the same time
Chekhov's gun
introducing so many plot details that just amount to nothing. Like the cat goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. There's just so many things that are just throughout the movie that just sort of are in the movie that just don't seem to be relevant to really anything.
And the series of twists and like wacky events are like really all this movie has going for it. Because if you really think about it, the story of this thing is like super bare bones and like almost nothing, which is insane because this movie's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Okay, but one problem I had with the reveals is when they do the reveals, they handle them in such a non-serious way that I could not tell if that was actually meant to be a reveal or if it was like
a joke.
A joke, yeah. Like when they reveal that the parents are like not really
spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers, I guess, for Argylle. But they reveal that the parents are like working for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the plot twist is her dad is the leader of the organization, and then it's like, oh, okay, now they're...
No, it's much more dumb and convoluted than that.
And then it was like, no, actually, she was like psyoped into believing they were. Like, I was just so confused. I was like, what are you talking about?
I guess, yeah, do you want to get into spoilers now?
Yeah, let's talk...
So, the big twist. Everyone going into this wants to know who the real Agent Argylle is. It turns out it's a woman named Argylle.
So J.K. Rowling was psyoped by
the organization.
The organization.
Did they have a name?
They were called the Directive, I think.
Or like by the way, the most generic, like completely motivationless villains of all time.
Yeah. Like, what was their goal?
No, to get the list, I guess.
To get the master file?
To get the master
file. They already had the master file.
To get the master file, which cleanly lays out in a very readable fashion all of the various crimes they've done.
No, but they don't even want to get it. They already have it. They just don't want
They don't want it to get out. They don't want it to get out, even though the people trying to release it don't have it. And if they just didn't tell them, they would never know.
Okay. I guess
we're going to have to dive into to explain
I'm going to have to explain some stuff for this to make sense. But, so... J.K. Rowling used to be a spy named Rachel Kyle. And she exploded on a mission and lost all of her memories. Mm-hmm. And then this evil British psyop doctor and Bryan Cranston, evil Nick Fury,
who's doing like a parody version of a Bryan Cranston villain.
Yeah, he's like a James Bond character, but if they were completely not memorable at all. Yeah. So
they don't even give him like a scar or anything.
No, he has like a stupid shotgun that he literally like uses one time and never uses again. Yeah,
like they didn't even. He's just wearing like a black suit.
Yeah, he's not important.
Like a pair of glasses or anything.
So they psyop this spy into believing that she is an author. Named Ellie Conway, and then they trick her into writing spy novels detailing all of her missions leading up to her getting trying to get this file. In order to
figure out where the file is
even though again they already have it,
and they don't, and no one else knows
later
but
on,
her.
after that is revealed, it is then further revealed that Rachel Kyle, when she was a spy, was working for them
the whole time.
The whole time anyway. She was a double agent against the good guys. So why did they even bother brainwashing her if she was already on their side anyway?
Yeah, by the way, in the movie, it's been 5 years since her amnesiac incident.
Yeah, and she's world famous.
Yeah.
She's like J.K. Rowling level. Like everyone knows her.
And none of her family or friends or like people who worked at like the grocery store in the town she grew up in. No one ever reached out.
No one ever reached out
that
to
this
her.
woman was now living under a different name and a world famous author.
And did she have friends? Did Ellie Conway have any friends?
I don't know.
Or was for 5 years she was only writing this book?
Well, she was only writing this series of books.
Or whatever. You know what I mean?
It takes a lot of time.
Like,
they show all of her books in this movie, and they all have the same cover. They're just in different
part
colors.
of the psyop was giving her and making her emotionally attached to the cat.
Yeah.
Alfie. But that doesn't go anywhere. Like, the bad guys never use that against her.
I feel like the cat's ever going to do anything, and it kind of does at the end. It attacks Bryan Cranston. But that's it. It doesn't like have any sort of significance at all.
Yeah, I thought that it was going to be like an emotional manipulation tactic against her. Like, oh, we're going to hurt the cat. And they do say that. But at that point, she's already convinced them that she's like done with the Ellie Conway persona and she's back to being a spy. And so she's like, I don't care if you kill the cat. It's fine. And the director guy's just like, oh, okay. And he believes her. Like, he doesn't question her resolve. He's just like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, screw the cat then. And
you think like the cat's gonna have the list on it, something like that,
or the cat maybe had
the cat has an air tag. They have to like track the cat.
Yeah, the cat was wearing an air tag at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
my assumption was, oh, they got her attached to this cat so that they could track her.
If I was Apple, that was what I would tell them to do, so that you can sell the air tags.
But they don't do that either.
They don't do that either.
Well, they can't have the villains using the air tag to track.
Well, no, but you could have the good guys, like the bad guys, kidnap the cat, and the good guys
you could do that.
To track them.
But they don't. So
they just don't.
Okay. There's just so many reveals in this. Every time they reveal something, it made me want to leave more. I was like, no, that's so dumb. When they revealed the who is Agent Argylle thing, I was so tempted to stand up and walk out of the theater. I was like, no, actually, that's so stupid. I want to leave.
I had it spoiled for me going in, which is like, honestly, made the movie like more boring for me because I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And the rest of this is just such a big fat nothing burger.
And then
it was really, really just mostly forgettable.
The two reveals at the end were so mind-bogglingly confusing.
Oh, are you talking about the post-credit scene?
The post-credit scene.
I think we should wait on that.
And the reveal at the reveal at the end.
Are you talking about
with Henry Cavill?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we should get to that later.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of going back to, like, the predictability and just, like, monotony of this.
Dude, I was predicting straight up, like, line for line.
Scene by scene, you just knew where everything was going. Like, again, this movie just has nothing special about it. There's no, like, particularly good humor. Most of it is just them, like, pointing a camera at Sam Rockwell and telling him to riff.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have any...
Like, all the performances I thought were pretty good. Like, Bryan Cranston's good. The main spy dude is good.
I thought they were all just, like...
Good.
But it was all just things I've seen them do before.
Yeah, it wasn't...
Bryan Cranston is playing an evil guy. Sam Jackson is playing a director of a spy agency.
Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard's playing oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's playing a mildly sarcastic dude. Like, these are all just things I've seen before in other better movies.
Yeah.
So there was, again, this has nothing to it. Like, Henry Cavill, like, it's got a great, like, on paper, this is a great cast, right?
Yeah.
You got, like, Henry Cavill,
all-star cast.
Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, John Cena's in this for 3 scenes, has maybe 2 lines.
Yeah.
Just totally wasted. Ariana DeBose is in this for a minute, and they try to do this really dumb twist.
Dua Lipa is in it.
Dua Lipa, this is like her big theatrical film debut. She's in 1 scene.
I still do not understand who Dua Lipa was supposed to be, like, in the real world.
Just a lady.
But then why did she dress as her at the end of the movie?
I don't know. She should have dressed
like
Argylle.
But
Sam Rockwell
dresses
like
as Argylle.
He should dress as John Cena.
Why did they even do that at all?
Also, Henry Cavill and John Cena should have done a big kiss at the end because that would have been funny.
Yeah, because if in the real world Agent Argylle and her like assistant guy are dating, then why aren't in the book isn't Agent Argylle and the assistant guy dating?
Yeah,
that should be a thing.
Maybe it was Apple being like, we can't sell this to the Chinese
market. Oh, please. Market. Apple does not. Dude, Apple loves it when you do gay. That's their favorite thing.
Dude, Apple says do gay. Let me find some more notes on this. Yeah, so going back to the tone.
Vaughn, all over the place.
Matthew Vaughn's whole thing is like a general irreverence. Like I'm making fun of this while doing it type thing.
But
this
he doesn't
didn't have that.
He's making fun of it, but he's not doing it right. Like, if you're making fun of it and you're doing it right, then it's funny. But if you're making fun of it and you're doing it wrong, it's stupid. And you can't take it seriously. Because Kingsman makes fun of the whole, like, spy kind of vibe and aesthetic and all that. But the movies are, like, good enough that they can be enjoyed as their own project. So it's okay. Like, you're like, okay, we're making fun of it a little bit, but the movie is also decent, so I'm down with it. This one, the actual plot of the movie is so convoluted and stupid that you can't enjoy it. So when they make fun of it, you're like, okay, but you're also like just bad at this. So what right do you have to make fun of it?
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything interesting with it.
Yeah.
It's like he sat down to write the script and then realized about like 20 pages in that he had like nothing to say about any of this. And so at that point, he just started going through the motions.
Have you seen...
Just turn on ChatGPT, finish my spy movie for me.
Have you seen the conspiracy theory that J.K. Rowling wrote the actual Argylle book?
I saw the fake Apple planted media story that Taylor Swift wrote the Argylle book.
Yeah, okay, so obviously that didn't happen. But J.K. Rowling actually does, like, write books under pseudonyms, like, fairly often.
Well, okay, I think we should talk about the marketing for this.
Also, Ellie Conway is just J.K. Rowling.
Huh?
Like, the character she's playing, like Ellie Conway, the character...
Well, she's just playing author, maybe.
Yes, but she looks like J.K. Rowling. She acts like J.K. Rowling. Like, they very clearly took inspiration from...
Except for they put a terrible blonde wig on Bryce Dallas Howard for the whole third act.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Her normal hair looks good.
Terrible hair, this whole movie. Everyone's got an awful wig, I would say.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill's, what are they doing with that?
Well, his hair's supposed to look silly.
But like Sam Rockwell, they give him that haircut at the end.
And then it looks extra
They put a blonde wig on her at the end on Bryce Dallas Howard
again,
for no reason.
When they're in the
Dua
book
Lipa
world,
had blonde hair.
Like the spy guy makes fun of her character in the book. He's like, "Oh, it's not all guys in fancy suits with silly hair." And then he puts on the suit and does the exact
dumb hair.
The hair exactly like that. He didn't have to do that. Why did he do that?
Remember at the beginning when Dua Lipa asks Argylle to dance, and then he just stands there.
He just stands there and then like twirls her, like picks her up and spins, like picks her up on his shoulders and then rotates 360 degrees. He does not dance. He just picks her up and rotates. Like that's not. He doesn't do a move. He didn't like do any like salsa or anything before, like leading up to that. He just grabs her, spins her, and then they fight. I was like, why'd you say dance if you're not gonna dance?
Remember when they kept cutting to that like shot of like between her legs of like the face? Because they do that spinny thing several times.
Yeah.
And every time they would like cut to like this POV shot
of like the person looking down,
spinning him. And it was always like the dumbest thing ever.
I think that was supposed to be kind of silly. So,
but that's the whole thing. Like what? This movie should be half silly, half not.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is treated the same. It's like he didn't know how to handle the story he was doing. And I want to really quick touch on two things, and that's editing and needle drops. One, there was like two sequences in this where the editing was super duper annoying. One was at the beginning, and I don't know if you probably didn't like, you probably thought it's fine. I found it irritating. But it's on the train and it's that action scene where where they're fighting, like just like
and it's like when she's in the stall, and
it's cutting to Sam Rockwell like in the fight, and then like her picturing it being Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
and they keep like quick cutting action stuff, and then cutting to these like YouTube video reaction shots of her.
Yeah,
and she's just making like these really weird over the top faces.
I wouldn't have had a problem with that if her reactions were consistent.
No, but they just they're all over the place.
Whenever she sees him as Argylle, she's like swooned.
Like,
but
really,
then whenever
she
sees him as him, she's like grossed out.
Yeah.
And then I thought like over the course of the battle, like she would see it more and more. Like she would eventually start to like see them as the same, and she'd like.
You think there would be some sort of progression?
She would either become,
or like this would go somewhere.
She would either be fully swooned or she would be fully grossed out. But they never do that. She just stays in this weird limbo state, and I'm like, well, he stopped doing that then, because they do that like 15 times.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even. They do it like 10 or 15 times.
It happens like twice, and you're like, okay, I get this.
And then they do it just for the entire like 5-minute long fight scene. They do this like every 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, all the fight scenes too. Just like it's just people with guns and knives just like whacking each other.
The first one I thought was all right because it was a little bit creative to have because sometimes they would do a clever transition where like he would body slam a guy, and as the body was moving over, it would switch to Henry Cavill. Or sometimes they would like have him like throw a punch, and it would like transition from his to Henry Cavill. Like, so there were a couple of clever transitions. So the first few fight scenes I thought were all right, but as it got more and more closer to the end, they just kept getting dumber and dumber and dumber. Until the last like 2, which are just so completely over the top and like nonsensical that I was just like out of it at that point.
Such like a massive difference between those ones and the ones at the beginning. It's like it's just so inconsistent, the whole thing.
It's very tonally inconsistent.
None of it connects with the rest of itself. It's so awkward. I don't understand how it really how it ended up this way.
Yeah.
Also, why were they on a boat filled with oil?
I think the bad guy's base was a boat.
Okay. Why? What were they doing? The bad guys in this have no motivation.
No, I don't understand what they're doing. Their only motivation is to stop the good guys.
They're just a bunch of guys in suits sitting in a boardroom full of hologram computers.
Because, okay, if I am to extrapolate from what she was writing in her book at the very beginning of the movie and use that information to kind of fill in the gaps of what the bad guy's plan was, the bad guys were controlling both sides of some kind of espionage operation. Argylle and Wyatt found out, even though Argylle already knew that, because again, she had been working with them she had been working for them the whole time and already knew that information. But Wyatt didn't know that. So when he learned that, he was like, "Well, we got to expose them and take this operation down." And then Argylle is kind of caught, like, "Okay, well, do I go with my friend and take down this operation, or do I betray my friend and do what the operation wants?"
What old man is telling
And then she gets her mind erased, and then the movie continues from there.
It's such like a massive... To break that to an audience like an hour in and just expect them to like buy into that completely with like almost no justification is absolutely wild.
That reveal was way too late.
Yeah.
Way too late.
That's got to be like 30 minutes in. Otherwise, I'm just going to be thinking about how like massively contrived and dumb that is for the rest of the movie.
Because at this point I'm already invested in Ellie Conway as a character.
You've already done your setup. Like your movie is going.
Yeah.
It has to
and then they stop
you
halfway
can't just stop like that.
And make it a totally different movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot be sold on this.
Yeah. I'm also like, how am I supposed to be invested in this
barely wanted to
character?
see the movie that you pitched me initially.
Yeah, because it was so
now
boring.
It's super less. Because, okay, the idea of an author writing a spy novel that is a little bit too close to the real world, and then she gets caught up in this whole situation.
That's fine.
That's an inherently interesting concept, because you're taking someone who is not used to this world, but who, thinks about it a lot.
And then she uses her like knowledge of spy novels to do a mystery
and
solve.
That you have a Brookston Brothers?
Brixton Brothers.
Brixton Brothers.
You have a
Brixton Brothers situation. But they reveal that actually, no, she just is a spy. So actually, this is not at all the pitch
And I
of the
was just
movie.
waiting for that part where like she magically remembers how to do kung fu via muscle memory, and
then
hit
they
you
do
with
it.
that. I was waiting for the scene of where like Sam Rockwell is like, and I've been keeping my feelings
And I was
secret
in
for
love
all
with you
these
the whole
years.
time. And then she's like, "Oh, okay, then we'll make out then now."
Yeah,
Because I just have no agency whatsoever.
I was
So
waiting
that's
for
okay.
them for her to like use
That's
her
the
ice
thing.
skating.
This
skills.
character has absolutely zero agency. At
No
all.
one really does in this at all.
None of the characters have any agency.
There's no ticking clock. There's no like we gotta get this done. Everyone
things
is
just
very
happen.
just like lackadaisical
Because
about it.
they did such a terrible job of explaining the motivations for
The
the
MacGuffin
characters.
is so bad.
Because the main spy guy, you don't understand his motivation again until after the Argylle reveal.
Yeah.
Which is again an hour and a half into the movie. Way too late. The bad guy's motivation is never properly explained. You
No.
kind of have to piece it together, which is okay sometimes.
They
But
just
they
tell
don't-
you they're bad, and you're just supposed
They
to be
don't
like, "All
give
right,
you
cool."
they don't give you the pieces in a decipherable enough way
Yeah.
to like put it all together. Because again, okay, here's what it is. I figured it out. The whole first half of the movie, you are treating it as if the premise that they sold you on is actually the real premise.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, oh, that's just the excuse she made up in her book.
Mhm.
So that's not the villain's real motivation. But then when they reveal it is, you've already put that away in your brain as like fiction in this universe. So to then retroactively have to apply that now to the actual villains and be like, no, this is the actual motivation. Most people didn't keep track of that because they already wrote it off as unimportant.
Yeah.
So when you have to retroactively apply importance from that thing you already forgot about, it just kills any potential for like real drama to occur.
Yeah. It just feels like there's a way, like cleaner, easier version of this to like make.
Where you just don't do
where
that.
she just has like you don't. Why does she need to be a spy at all? Like, why is that even an element?
She could have
in the
just
movie?
been an author.
Yeah,
Who
you
got
don't
wrapped
need
up in this
that.
situation.
You don't need to have a big mystery of like who is the real Agent Argylle.
Like, okay, imagine if
that doesn't need to be a thing.
No, I'm already invested in this other version of the story.
By having that plot line in there, all you're doing is like wasting time having to explain how that works logically.
It makes you feel like the entire first half of the movie was a waste of time. And to the
And
audience,
it's like
I feel like you wasted my time.
it's not even that you wasted my time, it's that you're wasting my time now having to explain this pointless plot twist.
Well, it wastes
when you could just be continuing to do the
it
movie
wastes our
you were
time because
already
it
making.
writes off the entire what I thought was an interesting setup off completely. And then it wastes even more time because, like you said, they have to now explain how all of this makes sense.
And they don't explain it
and
well.
it doesn't make any
No.
sense. Is so dumb.
So the whole
Oh my gosh, it is so
the
dumb.
whole like premise of the movie hinges on the idea that she's slowly recalling all of her spy mission memories via writing these novels. And then when asked why none of the characters in the movie just straight up told her her backstory when she had amnesia and why they had to sit there and wait for her to write these books, Sam Rockwell has a line where he goes like, "Oh, you would have lost your memories completely if we told you that."
What?
I was like, "Why?
What do you mean?
What are you talking about?"
So, but right now, when you did actually
But
just
when
tell
the
her
evil
anyway,
agency did all the brainwashing, none of that had any effect on
but
her
they
memories.
still just straight up do tell her exactly what's going on.
Yeah, she doesn't figure it out. They have to keep telling her in the movie.
So that's just a lie.
Why would you pause your like high priority spy mission for 5 whole years just to sit there and wait for this woman to publish all of your highly kept, like all of your important kept, like super top secrets? If you're the evil agency, all of the stuff she's publishing is real.
Yeah.
Why would you just let it all get out?
In real life, this has happened where like the FBI or the CIA will fund a movie that like it's like about like how the government did this super evil thing just to fictionalize it so that like if they ever get accused of that, they can be like, oh, well, that's just a movie. You're crazy. That actually has occurred, but they don't say that that's what's happening in the movie. So that the bad guy I can't even give them that much credit because they don't even say that that's what they're doing. The bad guys just did this for literally no reason.
No reason.
Because again,
the movie
at the
needs
point
to happen.
at the point where she lost her memories, she had not yet decided whether or not she was going to betray her partner, or stick with the or
the evil,
or join her partner and like take them down.
Evil.com.
So they end up brainwashing her and psyoping her into like writing these books for the evil bad guys when they could have just like been like, oh, you're our agent, tell us what happened.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
Yeah.
Just to see if they could?
How does
just for fun?
Yeah, how does like planting fake memories in her brain not have any effect on her actual memories, but just telling her what her actual memories are does? Like, how does that work at all?
Unexplained.
It's so weird. And if this whole thing was like a naked gun thing, where it's all a joke, that would be fine. But like, you're supposed to take most of this on like some level as serious.
The narrative is supposed to be taken seriously.
The internal logic of this is non-existent.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk about the post-credit scene and the last scene. But
sure. Sam, let's talk about the ending and the post-credit scene. So our heroes blow up the villain's evil lair boat.
Evil oil rig boat.
With the help of Ariana DeBose's character, who has been alive this whole time.
Who was in the movie.
And just felt like not participating for 5 years.
Why did she join the bad guys again? Why was she on the boat? Who cares? Doesn't matter.
Why did she fake her death at all? Why didn't she just...
Why did she infiltrate the organization as a plumber?
She was already in the organization. She should have just not faked her death and just like been there the whole time.
Very stupid.
Anyway, why was that even a subplot in the movie?
Don't know.
Why was she not just in the movie the whole time?
Don't know.
Anyway, so our heroes win the day, and Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard, they do a big kiss, and she goes back to writing her books, and Sam Jackson watches basketball. He's in this for a little bit, so for some reason. And then there's a post-credit scene that is a clip from the movie adaptation of the book Argylle.
The in-universe movie adaptation.
So the in-universe movie adaptation, and the scene is a young Agent Argylle going into a bar
called the Kingsman. In the Kingsman movie font.
With the Kingsman logo. So the movie reveals that a young Agent Argylle in the book
worked for the Kingsman,
or at least was associated with the Kingsman, which means therefore real life Agent Rachel Kyle
at
also
some point worked with the Kingsman.
So they're in the same universe. And also, before that, the movie ends with her at like a book event, and Henry Cavill is at the event.
Yeah.
And he says something like, you based your book off me, or something like that.
So she goes, do you have any questions? Mm-hmm. And he stands up and he goes, I have something I would like. He's like, I don't have any questions for you, but I feel like you might have a few questions for me.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what? Because again, I would like to mention, there is no in-universe depiction of Argylle as Henry Cavill.
I'm assuming that's just what she is picturing.
There's the figurines and there's the cover, but neither of those really look like Henry Cavill. She imagines him as Henry Cavill. When the guy from her imagination shows up and is like, oh, I am real, actually. Mm-hmm. I was like, what?
You would never be that's the guy from my book.
How does that make...
Well, like... You wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, it's the guy from my brain. You'd be like, wow, that guy looks a lot like...
You'd be like, wow, that's a nice cosplay you did.
But like, even like facially, you'd be like, wow, that guy looks a lot like what I pictured.
He's like, oh yeah, I kind of imagined him looking like that. But it's because he goes,
yeah,
I
like,
bet you have
like
some questions
he knows
for me.
that he is what is in her brain.
Which is like, what... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Oh, no. I know what it is.
Sam, enlighten me.
So you know how they were, at least when before this movie came out, they were planning on making this a series?
I think that one of their intentions was that this would have spin-offs. And
he's one of the PSYOP memory implants. He works for the spies, and the mom, when they were doing the PSYOP, made her imagine Argylle as that guy.
So he's like a real guy.
Yeah.
But like, so is he like a secret agent?
Maybe.
I like how he had a mullet. That was fun.
That was goofy.
I was like, remember when he was Superman and Superman was supposed to have a mullet?
Yeah, I don't think that was a reference to that, though.
No, I don't think it was. I just thought that was convenient.
A good thing to mention right now.
But it's just like, why? Why would that like such a weird reveal?
I don't know.
Like, because if you saw like if I'm like picturing like super spy dude, right, in my brain,
Mm-hmm.
I would picture like an actor as that guy, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like if
You'd imagine it as like Tom Cruise or something.
Okay, if Argylle in her brain looks like Henry Cavill, like your automatic assumption would be like, oh, like Henry Cavill is an actor in this universe, and she's like picturing Henry Cavill as the guy. Why would it be like a different guy? Like it just doesn't make any sense at all. I don't understand that reveal. I don't understand why this is connected to Kingsman.
Okay, and the Kingsman is a British Secret Service.
Mm-hmm. And there's a U.S. version of them. In Kingsman 2, there's the Statesman.
Yeah, but that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Now, in her file, it said that she was an operative for the CIA who also works for the Directive.
Yep.
The CIA, as I'm sure all of you are probably aware, is an American intelligence agency.
Yes.
Why would she be getting missions from the British intelligence agency?
So she was working simultaneous with like 3 to 4 different intelligence agencies at a time.
I guess
she was working with the Directive.
Well, I assume
who are just like a vague.
Yeah, they're just like
no
guys.
one. They're just dudes. They're just
guys.
Mercenaries. They don't seem to do really anything except for just murder. They're like supposedly like this good agency who's like masquerading and is actually bad. We don't ever see them do either of those things.
The only thing that the evil organization ever does in the whole movie is try to stop the good guys from stopping them. Stopping them from doing what? Well, stopping the good guys, of course.
There's not even a scene where they like kill a group of innocent people to show how bad they are.
No. There's the flashback scene where Agent Rachel Kyle like kills that hacker dude, but it was unclear if he was a good guy or a bad guy. So I wasn't even sure if that was meant to show that they're bad. I was like, well, I don't know who this guy is. He bad? Who is this guy? What's going on?
So there's the Directive, right? And then there's the CIA, which Samuel L. Jackson's character used to work for the CIA.
But now he lives in a
But then I guess he got disgraced and now watches basketball in the world's most expensive
with a stock
vineyard basement. I'm 90% sure that was just a room in Samuel L. Jackson's house.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I'll film your movie, but I won't leave my home. And so they had to just go to him.
Yeah.
I like the part where I like how for the whole third act they were just cutting to him in that basement watching basketball doing nothing.
Arguably the most important character in the movie.
Yeah, the cat's
because he's the one who actually is trying to expose them.
Mm-hmm.
He trained the 2 other people to like be spies to like help take them down.
Yeah, I guess,
or at least that's what they say.
I guess when they were working for the CIA and then moved to be working for
the Directive,
and then also at the same time we're working with.
Doesn't matter. The point is, Samuel L. Jackson is the guy whose idea it was to expose the evil organization. But he doesn't do anything to do that.
He sits in the basement.
He just sits in his basement and waits for his friends to do it for him.
Waits for them to email the list to him.
Yeah, he waits to receive the email. He doesn't actually do.
Why is everyone in this movie so lazy? They all just sit around and wait for someone else to do something for them.
Okay. And he's not even like the guy in the chair because he doesn't help them at all.
No.
Ever. He just watches basketball. That's it.
And plays on his 3 iPads.
And he has 3 iPads, even though that's not a use case anyone has ever had.
Well, but then there's 3 Apple logos on screen.
But no, because they got cases on them.
Well, they're selling the case, too.
No, only one of them had the keyboard case. The other 2 were in, like, other cases.
Oh, no, it's so odd.
Also, imagine, like, running a spy organization and your primary device is an iPad Pro with a keyboard case.
That's good for hacking.
Absolutely not.
For computer hacking.
Absolutely 0% chance that is real.
So anyway, by the way, if this takes place in the Kingsman universe, Samuel L. Jackson plays a character.
Yeah, I found this out
Kingsman.
on the way home. I was like, I was thinking about the Kingsman, and I'm like, I've seen him in the trailers. I know he's in those movies.
Yeah.
And then I Googled it, and I was like, yeah, he is in the movies. So wait, is he two guys?
I guess he's two guys.
There's two Samuel L. Jacksons.
There's two Samuel L.
They just
Jacksons.
happen to look exactly the same.
How are they gonna cross? Was the plan or to like cross these over? Because like they're different. Like this is PG-13. Like the Kingsman movies are like hard R. These are like PG-13.
This movie should have been rated R.
It should have been rated R. It would have given
they shoot so many people in the face on screen,
tame.
And there's just never any blood. And I'm like, what?
It's missing that element of it. It's that over the top action, but there's no like
there's no gore at all.
There's nothing like to feel it. It's just so like floaty.
Like he crushes a dude's head in with his boot.
Yeah. But they don't show it.
But it's like, it's just slightly off screen. But I'm like, he still squished a dude's head.
There's a point where she puts on like knives as ice skates. I'm like, you're not gonna have a part where she
never kicks a dude.
She like kicks someone and slices their throat or something. You're not gonna do any. What's the point of that?
She skates around with daggers.
Why was there only one scene like that?
Well, there was the dance one with the colors.
That was. What was
that one's basically the same vibe wise.
Where there's enough smoke to mask all of the violence, so it just feels like nothing.
That looked like a scene from The Suicide Squad.
But the scene from The Suicide Squad probably would have been interesting to watch.
Well, it would have made sense. Okay, if Harley Quinn shot up a bunch of dudes...
That is a scene in The Suicide Squad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we didn't even think twice about that, because that is 100% within her character to do something like that.
One, it's well shot. And two... Like because there's like wacky flowers and stuff.
Yeah, the whole tone of the movie.
She's insane.
Yeah.
So that fits. Like that's what
these
she's
characters are supposed to be normal, serious
No, they're like
people.
very boring people.
So why is that happening to them? And okay,
why would they?
Also,
why would all of their smoke grenades be like multicolored?
I wasn't sure if they were actually dancing and all that stuff, or if that was like again in their imagination.
But like they're watching.
Because when they show the thermal cameras, they're just doing regular shooting people. They're not moving and dancing and all that stuff. So were they imagining that? Was that real? What was going on in this movie?
I would go back and look, but I never want to watch Argylle.
What was happening in this movie? What's going on?
Anyway, it's not doing well at the box office. It's got terrible reviews from audiences and critics. He's never gonna make another one of these. I doubt he ever gets a budget.
What did they need the book for? The Anarchy book? What was that for?
What was that all about? I totally forgot about that being in the movie.
He took pictures of it and everything.
It was like
did they use that for something,
right?
I don't think so.
I think it was that verse from the Quran where they go to the Quran woman.
That's it? That's all that was?
Yeah.
But she already knew that.
Yeah, they knew they gave it to her, I think.
Yeah, they already knew that they gave her
like a memory flashback she gets.
So they didn't need that at all?
I don't think they needed it at all, no. I'm glad they wasted like 30 minutes.
Literally the first, like, maybe 45 minutes of the movie is
I think he was writing so many... He kept writing about that whole dumb twist. He forgot about that part of the movie.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, I think we've talked enough about Argylle. Sam, would you recommend Argylle?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know why this is the way it is. I don't know how we got away with this.
This movie could have been good. This movie could have actually been a good movie.
This is like not a terrible premise, and there's a lot about this that should work.
And it just
doesn't. It just feels like it's so low effort.
Yeah. It's like Ghostbusters 2. Like, it should work.
But they just
You have all the parts.
Yeah.
It just didn't. Like, what happened?
You have you've got all the pieces, you have the budget, you have the instructions.
You even have, like, the right guy.
Yeah.
Like, he could have made this work.
This guy has made solid stuff in this exact genre before.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, how did this end? I don't understand. This movie is a massive mystery. Like, how did this end up the way it is?
Nothing in the movie, nothing in universe makes any sense.
It doesn't feel real.
Nothing in the real world about it makes any... Like, the real life book that they made? What is the book? Is that a book of the movie? Or is the book her in-universe book?
In-universe book. I don't know.
Are we in Argylle
right now?